to cloud. And I am so excited to have you guys. Let me see. Now, Michelle, many of you probably already know Michelle Willis, who's our cousin. And Michelle, or either you know Servina Willis, which is her mom. And do all of you guys know Michelle?
I don't.
I think I know Sabina.
Yeah, I definitely know your mom.
I think I know who Greg is.
Okay. Well, Lorraine, before you got on, I was sharing with them, actually today, besides yourself, Lorraine, everyone else that's on this call are kin to me.
Oh, well, I can be.
And this, yes, you can be. And this is a first. This is a first.
Wow.
Let's see. You guys, I'm trying to get this open. I was just getting off of another session.
Since I just
yeah,
spent
but I mean,
weeks with you.
Yeah, we know each other so well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eddie's jealous, by the way.
Now you're in Mississippi, right?
I am, yes.
And then Michelle, you're in Houston?
Yes.
And then everyone else is here local in Arkansas. So let's see, come on, trying to get there. Screen share. Okay. Come on. There we go, finally. All righty, we're in our session 1 of the Nonprofit Development Master Class. And I wanna thank all of you for being on. It is an honor for you to be with me in this class today. There's gonna be a lot of information that I'm going to cover. And in addition to completing your tax exempt application, like I've said to many of you before, my objective is to open your eyes to new possibilities. And with that being said, so often when we're listening, whether it's about nonprofit and establishing our nonprofit, or even going after grants, I look at it like you are listening to a radio station and it's not quite on the station. You got that static, you can hear them, you can even pop your fingers to the song, but that's still that crackling, that is still there. And that's the way that most all of you have been hearing the nonprofit arena and grants. You hear it, but it's like that crackling. You either hear it and don't really pay attention to it because you don't understand it. Once in a while, you'll stop and listen to it for a moment, but then you just let it pass on by. And I want to give you those listening when it comes to this arena. And so what we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about the main documents that you're going to need to get your tax exempt status. That's the Form 1023. It's a 30+ page application. Now, a lot of people you will hear say that it took them a year, 2 years to get their exemption, but they don't tell you that it's because the IRS kept rejecting it. Now, and so, but in addition to doing this Form 1023 and the narrative, the articles, the bylaws, the conflict of interest policy, the 3-year budget projection, what this class is also doing, you guys, is I'm going to be teaching you nonprofit management. How do you manage your organization effectively, even before your exempt letter comes in, even after your exempt letter comes in, how do you operate? But also, if you use this class right, I'm teaching you how to do this for others. You should be able to now, after taking my class, you should be able to use this and become a consultant to help other people develop their own nonprofit. And that can even be a component as a consulting business under your own nonprofit, the same way I'm doing it as a business. So if you had not thought about that before, I really want you to be considering that. Okay, is there anyone on the line that ever thought about consulting, being a consultant as a nonprofit business strategist?
I've thought about doing some consulting on economic development, not necessarily as a nonprofit, so I am intrigued by that.
Oh, good, Dan. Good, good. Now, before we, speaking of Dan, and before we move forward, I'd like for all of you to just introduce yourself. And I'm going to come off camera. If you can come off camera, come on camera for a moment. I'd like for all the class to know who you are, who everyone is. So let me stop share for a moment. I'm even turning on my camera. And let's see, let's do this like this. Gallery. Okay.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Dan Rainey here. Is it okay to go ahead?
Yes, it is, Dan.
Okay.
I'm coming
Forgive
back.
the clutter in the background there, but can't get virtual backgrounds to work on my computer for some reason. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, as I told most of the people, as Sharita mentioned earlier, we're all cousins and know each other. But I retired earlier this year. I was a professor for 23 plus years, working in economic development. So retired earlier this year and wanting to either get into public service and or do some consulting work. So
Good, good. You retired as a young man.
yeah.
Yeah, what a blessing is that?
That's good.
Okay,
That's
Karen,
nice.
since you're at the top left of my screen, tell us who you are.
Okay.
Now, some of you, if you're at work and you can't talk, just let me know, because I know that some of you may be at work. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Byers. Hi there. I am a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I'm currently working. I actually work from home. I do telehealth nursing, nurse practitioner, and then I also work on the weekends at Methodist Behavioral Health Hospital. I'm the nurse manager there, where I also do pediatric psychiatric nursing. So, and I'm cousin to Sharita and Dan and Greg and everybody on the call as well, and trying to learn something new today. So I'm excited.
Good, good. Thank you for being on. And again, Karen's Arkansas, Dan's Arkansas. Next, we got Greg Scooter Kennedy. Tell us who you are.
Hey, good morning, good evening, everybody. Yeah, my name is Greg Kennedy.
Wait, Greg, can you come on camera for a moment or no?
Oh, I thought I was on now.
There we go.
There we go. Okay. Greg Kennedy. I stay here in Sherwood, Arkansas. I work at Union Pacific Railroad. Just met Sharita when she moved here to Arkansas, and love the personality that she have, and love the everything that she knows. So, and I'm just here to learn all I can to first of all help the community, and also if there's the opportunity for me personally to learn that also and pass it on to someone else. So there we go.
Good, good, good. Thank you, Greg, for being on. Let's see, who do we have down here next? Sam, come on camera for us for a moment. Sam may not be there. I think Sam's working. Hopefully he'll come back. Lorene, tell us who you are, dear.
I am the founder of a nonprofit organization in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm actually in Brandon, but we're right outside of Jackson. And we teach, we provide whatever services is truly needed, from educational programs all the way to food banks and family closets. And then I'm a resource center where I connect the dots with anybody that walks through the door. My God has challenged me to help wherever I can, and that is our goal. So we're pretty widespread, which is why we call ourselves Legacy of Life Extension.
Good,
Lorene,
good, good. And you also do radio.
We do radio. That was one of the reasons that I sat through the first class, is I was trying to get funding for that. And then it grew into something much bigger, and it was just intriguing. So I'm glad to be part of this class. And Sharita, I just emailed. I've been communicating with that particular person on that issue we had before that you needed for today. I just emailed that to you. So you've got documentation of that, so you can track it. Anyway,
great.
Yes, so I do that. I have background in naturopath medicine, holistic. So I work with a wellness center here with Eddie Deere, and I've got some background in political. I decided I didn't want to do that. Paralegal, didn't want to do that. And so I just found myself being a kept woman and opening a not 501c3.
Well, good, good, good. Dan, you were ready to say something. Thank you, Lorene, and thank you for being with us.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna ask Lorene if she knew Allison Christian down there in Brandon. She's a former student of mine up at U of A.
I know the name. I can't put a face with the name, but I was in real estate for 20 years and I've been out of that now for 12, but it's not out of me. So I'm still very active in it. I'm just not selling, or I turned in my license. I was that done with it. And so I know the name. I've probably run across her in events, but I can't put a face with her. So I don't know. Now, you said pharmacy?
No, Allison, I'm in economic development, Ag Econ.
And what's Allison?
I'm not sure what she's doing there in Brandon. She's from Brandon. She came here to do an Ag Econ master's and then moved back to Brandon 7-8 years ago.
I just know the name. I was trying to put a face with her, and I've been working with some pharmaceutical people lately, so I wondered if it was that, but I'll think about that.
Okay.
Well, good, good, good. Sam, are you there? If not, I'll move over to Monique. Well, Monique, tell us who you are. Can you come off camera? On camera? Monique, there you are.
I'm Michelle, not Monique, Monique, the other one. You keep calling me Monique.
I mean, Michelle. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm so used to saying Monique with mom on a mission.
Well, hello, everyone.
Her sister has a nonprofit that I for years I would go back and forth and was doing some coaching. So I always want to keep calling you Monique. I'm sorry, Michelle.
That's okay. That's okay. I am the oldest daughter of Savina Willis.
Yes.
For those of you all who know Mama Dean. I'm currently an occupational therapy assistant student in the process of studying to take my exam. Yeah, I'm in Houston, Texas. That's about all that's really exciting. I'm taking the class because I do have a heart for the underdogs. And the particular underdogs that I would like to assist at this particular moment will be the women that's coming out of prison in hopes to get them back on track for them to not enter back into the prisons.
Good, good, good. Great. Thank you for being on out of Houston. Sam, if you're not there, you can always introduce us whenever you come back, or introduce yourself whenever you're there. You are. Hey.
That's me. Yes, ma'am. How are y'all?
You're doing good. I see you're at work.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, my name is Sam McDaniel from Arkansas. I work at Kimberly-Clark here in Maumelle. I'm a shift team leader. So I provide assistance or leadership to about 60 to 70 people daily. And that's just day-to-day work, dealing with different vendors and all kinds of different stuff. It's just one of those things where almost like an operation manager for the day, I guess, if you want to call it. So again, just excited to be in the class. Glad to have Sharita as part of our family and our community. She's a great asset. I mean, she's a gift sent by God, no doubt about it. And I'm looking forward for her to help us go in the right direction to get everything we need to better our community.
Well, good. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for being on. And so now that you guys have met each other, whether you come on camera again or not, you know who's in your class. Another reason why I wanted you guys to introduce yourselves is because I guarantee you that by the time we get by the end of this first or second class, you're going to see how no matter what it is that all of you guys do, there's opportunities for collaboration. And now, Sam, listening to you talk about your duties, your current everyday duties, in the section where they will be asking about the founder, this is where your experience and what you've been doing there at Kimberly-Clark will show the IRS and any funder that you have the ability to run any other organization because of your management abilities. You must be a great communicator, your leadership skills, and you will be including that in the document. Matter of fact, it can become where you are even training small businesses on whether it's time management, management skills, team building skills, because there's a lot of small businesses and even nonprofits that don't do well in the beginning because they're missing those management skills. See, a lot of times people will develop an organization because of something they're passionate about, but they don't have the other skill sets to help their organization move forward. So all of you, whatever you're doing in your day-to-day, whatever's paying you right now, you definitely have to keep in mind to bring it straight over into and operate with under your nonprofit, okay? So that being said, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. And you should see my screen now. And so again, as I go through, everything that you see on the, from number 1 through 6 is what is going to be required to submit paperwork to the IRS. But the reason, oh, Lorraine, this is perfect for you if you're considering it, because I think you have your status or you submitted, but I hope that this will, I don't know if you've considered being a consultant for a nonprofit. Have you?
I have not. You mentioned that in the last class, but I'm telling you, with the experiences I've had since I opened my 501c3 a couple of years ago, I could probably do it because I know the right and the wrongs. So, yes. My
Yes.
501c3,
Okay,
I actually paid a lot of money for someone, a lawyer, to set it up. And I have seen where that was a huge benefit, but he charged an outrageous price. And so doing it right is a necessity, because along the way, people that I've met did it wrong and they are so messed up. So I was very thankful that I did it that way, since I didn't know what I was doing. And now that we know your class is here, I think it's huge that people need to know why it's so critical to do it right the first time.
Yes, yes, yes. And see, my rate, my minimum rate when it's on sale, when I'm running a special, is $4,000.
Mhm.
See, for me to do a nonprofit and do what I'm showing you guys how to do, if I do it personally, of course, I create a whole big business plan. It also includes, 3 months of business coaching. I mean, there's other things that go along with it, but my actual rate is $6,500. And so you guys are getting it at this rate. Oh, and Scooter, thank you this morning. I almost didn't see your registration when he sent it over to me. Marshall had sent it to me twice, a matter of fact, because I hadn't responded back to him. So thank you for that. Okay, I'm glad we caught it, that I saw it in time to get the information over to you. So now, this is the Form 1023 that we're going to be going through. I'm going to be walking you guys through this form to make sure that everything is completed. But also, again, as a consultant, you will be able to talk to your clients about why, each number that we go through, why it's important that they have that information, what goes there, why you should say yes instead of no on each particular question. So I will be walking you guys through this. But before we go through the Form 1023, again, I want to open your eyes up. See, when you start filling this in, but you're operating with limited information, you're going to fill this in with limited information. So I want to talk about the different ways that people can have a nonprofit. And it doesn't matter what your passion is. Like when I did this, the grant class for you guys up at the community center here in Hattieville, the Hattieville, Cleveland area. And I was talking about, what is your passion? What is your passion? Because more than anything else, I want to help people step into this arena with truly what you're passionate about, not what is hot in the industry, not what is going to make you the most money. Because believe me, again, I've been doing this since 1988. And I have seen where when the organizations that truly are passionate about what they're doing and they're operating in their passion, they grow exponentially more so than anyone else that I'm working with, for anyone else that's doing it just for the money, because they hear there's a lot of grant money. Okay. And so even if you're a Trekkie, if you love Star Trek and you consider yourself a Trekkie, there's grant money for you to operate in that Trekkie environment. And let me just show you.
More strange new worlds. To seek out new life and new civilizations. To boldly go where no one has gone before.
So my goal is to help you go where no one else has gone before. So I saw this print that was on a t-shirt and it says, yes, I'm a Trekkie, and no, I don't live with my parents. Why does that t-shirt say that? What is assumed by someone that might be a Trekkie? That likes sci-fi, that might like computers, that might, be someone that is a computer geek, or what is believed about them, or what are some of the assumptions?
Just what you said, a geek.
Yeah. And what happens to someone in school if they are considered a geek?
Probably being bullied.
Ostracized.
Bullied. Yes. Might have, when they're not behind their computer or whatever, they might be assumed that they have low self-esteem.
Mhm.
They might have not as good a face-to-face communicator. Well, you guys, if you happen to be a Trekkie and you're not that person that doesn't communicate, that has the skills to communicate, do you know you can be on, like I'm on right now, with Trekkies or people that are maybe have a geek personality from the way it's assumed how geeks are, and you can be doing empowerment strategies with individuals all over the nation, all over the world. And you could bring speakers on to help with improved communication skills, team building skills, bullying prevention. What I'm saying to you is no matter what it is that you're passionate about, there's opportunities for you to turn that into a program and make a difference in someone's life. So almost this entire session today, I'm going to be giving you examples because I want to pull out of you, what are you passionate about? How can I help you develop your programs more effectively to do exactly what you love, touch individuals that you want to touch, and make a difference and get your nonprofit approved in doing that. Also line you up to get the grant funding to run that program. So in addition to that, even if you are a dog walker, there are individuals that love dogs, probably saving dogs, walking people's dogs, and have no idea that they can get grants for walking dogs. Now, why is it that can happen? Well, people might assume that somebody must have a lot of money just to pay someone to walk their dog. But think of individuals that need someone to walk their dog because of their situation they're in. It might be seniors, it could be the disabled. And so the dog walker could be getting grants to cover their costs to walk those individuals' dogs. It could even be someone like me. Let's say that Ray wasn't here with me, and I have our 6 dogs, and I just had surgery, and I'm down for the next 2-3 weeks. I can't even go up and down the little step to come out of our RV here. What would I do? There is funding for someone to come and take care of my animals, even feed my chickens, So what I'm saying to you guys is whatever your passions are, I want to touch on it. I want to show you how you can move forward in it. So as you're developing your programs, who is your target population? And then what kind of programs can you develop around that, around those individuals? Are you focusing on working with teens possibly, and still can do something virtually with them? Even with the reason why I'm going to be talking to you a lot about virtual is because with COVID right now, a lot of people have seen that their businesses, so much of what they can do can also have a virtual component. So I'll be talking about virtual a lot and how you can operate in that. You guys, I teach right up here on this hill. See, my business didn't change with me leaving from the LA area to coming to Hattieville, Arkansas. My ability to be able to still teach and reach my clients did not change. Before COVID, I was still traveling from Arkansas and speaking all over the world, flying all over the world speaking. Your business should not have to change because of your location. Even if you're teaching youth, because COVID-19 has shown everyone that didn't even know that they could do things virtually. You guys, I don't know about you, but I've attended virtual funerals now. We've had virtual birthday parties. Anyone else? That you've done something virtually that you hadn't ever even considered before?
I watched the funeral virtually. It was different, but it got the same effect. I mean, I felt I was there, and it was different. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, a lot of times, 5% of something beats 100% of nothing. The fact that you could be there. Now, Michelle, that was you. Was that you that attended my wedding, or was it Monique?
that was Monique.
Okay, because I get the two of you mixed up all the time. Obviously, my son attended my wedding virtually 3 years ago. This was before COVID. My son attended my wedding, and people were saying, "Well, how is that going to happen?" Because I wanted my boys to give me away, and but Jermaine is a speaker and teacher like I am. And he was actually the head of this conference, and he couldn't be at my wedding. But just so happened, thank God, that the conference that he was a part of ended 30 minutes before my wedding was to start. And so he already had his camera set up. He and his wife, I had a Zoom set up. I had the screen up there in front of the room, and he and his wife were standing up there behind my son and Ray and the people my wedding party. And when they said, "Who gives this bride away?" both my boys were able to say, "I do." And my son and my daughter-in-law were able to be a part of my wedding, the whole wedding ceremony. And they were in Oregon. So now that was before COVID. And at the time, see, most people didn't know all of the power of what could happen virtually. But let me just show you something here. Let's see.
Well, Sharita, while you're doing that, I was just letting you know, medicine has transformed because of, telemedicine. I mean, we have docs on demand. I can actually see clients in another state if I want to. Actually all over the world, like you're saying, long as I have a license in that state, we're seeing patients all over. And matter of fact, mental health is so needed right now that I get constant emails from Oregon, New York, and all over just asking if I would do telemedicine, so.
Right. And now you guys still see my screen, right?
Not at the moment.
What happened? Why don't you see my
No.
screen? What happened?
Now we see it.
Okay. Now see, this was all the way back in 2015. And this is where I was teaching people how to expand their business. And for this was for business coaching or whatever. But a lot of people felt like, matter of fact, wouldn't even take my class because it wasn't live. And so this is an opportune time now for you guys to step into the virtual aspect of what your businesses can do. Okay. Now, Karen, also, and see where, even with you saying that, there was a time if someone would have told me that for me to see my medical professional virtually, I would have thought, absolutely not. There's just no way. I'm not going to do it. I feel like they wouldn't be able to be, really tuned in to what's going on with me. And I would not have accepted it. Where now I'm open to it. And so there's just so many opportunities. And the IRS also sees that, and it will make it easier for anything that you're trying to do virtually if you're stepping into that arena. Now, what else can you do? Now, just like one of my clients, he used to work, matter of fact, he is the partner with the guy that started the Bart Simpson. I did all the Bart Simpson cartoons and all that. Well, this guy, his MS started to really take hold of him, and he couldn't get out into the world like he was doing. So we developed his nonprofit called Kids on Paper. And he's teaching cartooning and has kids submitting their artwork to him. And he's still doing what is his passion. But your nonprofit should shift with whatever way you shift in your life. That's how you should design it. Okay, so Kids on Paper, the mission is to reintroduce comics to children as a hidden literary and artistic treasure trove and a rich, vibrant medium to promote literacy, inspire creative personal expression, and open a highly accessible gateway to a full array of successful, rewarding career paths. Okay, but sequential art, which is comic books, was the first introduction for many of us to basic storytelling. So he can be going after funding for storytelling, creative writing, literacy, leadership skills, improved communications, and then depending on how many kids or what kids he has with them, what their ethnicities are, race relations, cultural awareness. You with me? So I want to really open your eyes up for you to develop your programs more effectively. Bootsy Collins developed his Funk University under his nonprofit. Funk disciples prepare to revolutionize their playing. There's no place on planet Earth that will bring you knowledge on funk like Bootsy's Funk University. And he's doing it virtually, even before he started this almost 10 years ago. Through weekly online music lectures by Professor Bootsy, complemented by exercises and lessons from the world's finest musicians on a daily basis, you are about to experience a remarkable amount of knowledge that will change you and your understanding of music. If you're a mechanic, you guys, I taught and developed a nonprofit in LA. Their mechanic business was in the third generation of ownership. But the current owner, which was the father, now grandfather, was getting older, but his younger, his younger family members were getting where they didn't want to do the family business anymore. Until we developed a component so that his son or grandson, I forget who it was into technology. And they didn't realize that they could have a virtual auto mechanics program. And we called it Auto Mechanics 101. But it was virtual. Now, anyone not seeing how you can have a auto mechanics program virtually? Any comments about it, or anyone know how it can happen virtually?
I have questions, because how would you, because I would assume if you're in a classroom, you would have the parts there to work on. But if I'm at home, yes, I need a motor. I need some screwdrivers and some wrenches and stuff.
Or maybe through simulation, or maybe through like a simulated video of some sort.
I'm so glad that you said
But
that.
I like hands-on. I need stuff in my hands. I don't like simulation.
Well,
simulation would be great, but yeah, I would do
Sorry, Michelle, I didn't mean to talk over you. I've done a number of, like when I'm working on my own car, so I know what part I need to fix. I may not know exactly how to get it off, but I'll go on a YouTube and just watch a video on how to repair or replace that particular part. So
I'm glad you said that. Because YouTube, most anyone that have worked on cars or still work on cars go to YouTube, right?
Absolutely.
And you guys, on my little Mazda, when my flywheel messed up a few years ago. One second, please. This is my husband. Hey. I did, but I'm in class now, so everything's fine. Alrighty? All right, thanks. Bye. Sorry, you guys. Before he, you guys know how far town is, so before he comes back, he checks to see if I need something. So anyway, when my flywheel messed up on my Mazda, and I didn't even know what a flywheel was, I got on YouTube. You guys, it was so clear on what to do. If I would have had the right tools, like what you said, Michelle, I could have fixed that flywheel by just watching that YouTube. Now, what was missing is I kept having to pause it. And then, I mean, if I would have been working on it myself, I'd have to pause it, then do what it says, then hit play again. But now, can you imagine if someone has you live, like we're doing right now, and I have a class, if I'm the mechanic and I'm teaching, and now I've got 10 people on, I keep my class small, the same way I keep my grant class small and my nonprofit class small so that everyone can get personal attention. I keep the class small, but do you know that with that, do you know that the person teaching the auto mechanics class can also in their grant application ask for all the basic tools of what he knows they're going to need based on what his curriculum is going to be. And each student, when they enroll, gets their tools sent to them prior to the class so that they can work on whatever that instructor is going to work on, and each one of them has their own tools. Do you know that grant funding could cover that? So now, instead of them watching a video, they can be on live, just like I'm on live, and they can even get a webcam so that each one of them is working on a car. They can have that webcam up on the hood of that car, showing on the motor. So now when the instructor is teaching, they're saying, okay, we're getting ready to do such and such and such. So each one of you look on your motor. You should see a little red cap over to the right. Go and unscrew that. And so someone is saying, Mr. Garcia, I don't see that. You know, I don't see that on mine. So Mr. Garcia or me, if I'm teaching the class, says, John, there in Oklahoma, turn your camera on, you know, come on film, on video so I can see. The same way I told you guys, come on video. And I say, okay, see your hand right there on the right? Go back a little further, a little further. Oh, I see why you don't see the red cap. Someone has worked on this before and your cap is black. So, but it's the same cap. It's just the way that it's different than the way it comes standard from the manufacturer. So you're able to see it, talk to them as though they're right in class. Matter of fact, if they were in class, the instructor doesn't have to walk over to each car because you're able to see it virtually. Okay? And when I talked about the tools, you guys, it doesn't matter what you're teaching. It doesn't matter the cost. If you can justify your costs because of the way you're teaching the class, it is fundable. Okay? So I just wanted you guys to see that example. Go back over here. Any questions, comments? So just like in my slide, I have this guy, and he's a very popular guy that teaches auto mechanics. Look how many views just on this one video. Okay, and he has a channel, and so he probably doesn't realize that he could actually be teaching live auto mechanics to youth. And this is why I like to show you guys all kinds of things that are possibilities. Look at this. He's got 1,828,000 on this one. Fixing an oil burning engine for $10. Okay. Even if you knit or crochet, it can be one of your programs. Okay. You guys, when I was in the 7th and 8th grade, I was making my own money by just crocheting the little, you know, the little beanies that you see maybe a lot of Muslim guys wear or whatever. If you saw the if you saw Anthony Anderson's show, what is it, To Tell the Truth? And recently, Mike Tyson was on there and he had on one of those little crocheted beanies. You guys, way back when I was in the 7th grade going to Martin Luther King in Kansas City, it had to have been around 1974, 1975. I was making $15 a day because I knew how to make those little beanies. I could make 3 or 4 in a night. And the next day they were selling when I was at school. So now, if I'm at this age now, if I'm teaching young girls how to do that or young boys, and now they're able to be selling those at school, do you know that not only is it a crocheting class, not only is it an arts and crafts class, but I'm teaching entrepreneurial development? Okay. If you want to work with seniors across the globe, what are some of the things that you can be doing? You could be having Bible study with seniors that are incapacitated, that can't get out and about, that can't go to church, but want live interaction. And now they're interacting with seniors all over the world. All of them are able to see each other on camera, developing friendships, relationships. Any of you play games on the computer and you're playing with people all over the world? Any of you?
Yes.
Do you start feeling like you know them and
Yes.
kind of developing relationships?
Mhm.
Yeah. You guys, I'm part of a women's group just with my she shed that I have here in the barn. And it's more than 100,000 women I've got relationships now that are developing with women. One of my sisters is in Madagascar. Others are in South Africa, Tulsa, Houston, Kansas City, Jacksonville, Florida. They're all over. And I feel like I've met these ladies and we've never met. So think about if you have a Bible class with seniors. Anyone teach any Bible class at church? Yes, no? Heathens, all of you.
We have a class here at the nonprofit on Tuesday nights, just so you know. I'm only half heathen.
Yeah, wait, I have the nerve and I don't teach a class. So Sam, you teach a class too?
He may be on a call. He did send me a text saying that he had to do a 15-minute call.
Well, good. Well, this will be on the recording because Lorraine, you and Sam both, there's opportunities for you to be teaching Bible classes virtually. And even, see, sometimes there's people that don't get out and go to church, but would love to be a part of a good Bible class. It would be just like a book club. It's a book, okay? You could be teaching financial planning. There's a lot of seniors that now that they're no longer working and they're on fixed income, they're just not sure how to manage their money. There's even a lot of seniors now that are on dating sites. Now, you guys, this is crazy when I heard this, but do you know in senior facilities, one of the main things they're battling is venereal diseases?
Yes, I
was
learned that
shocked.
when I was in school. Because I'm an OT, we deal with just everyday life or whatever. And I was taught that in one of my classes was for just seniors in general. And I was just mind blown. Like how dare the old people be nasty? Shame on them.
These people are busy. So there's opportunities to even be on and talking about sexual problems and sex after 70 or sex after 65, or, you know, there's just different opportunities. And there are people that will come on and be speakers, talk about how to protect yourself even after 70 and sex. You know, there's just so many things that I just, you know, want to, again, open your eyes to. Even our family foundation that I developed with my sister, Chris, we named it the Rufus C. and Leola Goff Family Foundation. Well, Mona runs that program because I have my organization that I had. And so her and her husband, William, which is right here, they're doing things that they had no idea they could do. My sister had already been teaching praise dance for more than 25 years. That's a program now under the nonprofit. She has always loved puppets. She now has a puppet ministry, and the libraries are continuously asking her to come back and do the puppet, what she was calling a ministry. I said, Moan, you got to stop calling it a puppet ministry. It is a program. William is taking young boys fishing. He's having reading and authors coming in and exposing them to books and, you know, advancing their literacy. There's race relations and cultural awareness that's happening within the organization. And so there's so much that's going on up under the roof of C. Leola Goff Family Foundation that she just thought was just going to be a hobby. Okay. So I'm showing her how she can even have virtual programs teaching through puppetry, and it's virtual because you guys, you will find that's why psychiatrists use puppets. There's youth and even adults that would talk to a puppet that would not have talked to an individual face to face. Okay. So that's why I'm saying provide education and laughter through puppeteering. And even involve the world in your dance event or provide instruction. The same way this guy on the left, on the right, I mean, is doing it through his video courses and hip hop. He's also teaching ballroom, breakdance, tap, and more virtually. This guy here, Mixmaster, the master class, he does live streams, okay? And even my son, at first he didn't see it. He says, Mom, I wish I would have listened to you 10 years ago, because he and my daughter-in-law are into fitness. And I kept saying, look, you can have a virtual fitness class, but he didn't see it. He just started doing his Herring Fitness and the PE for homeschool during COVID-19, okay? If you love to cook, You can have a culinary arts program and even do it virtually, the same way that you'll see where these young girls are learning. They have a huge following. They're baking cupcakes and they do it through YouTube. And so you can always see them, but there's just so many opportunities. If you're a writer, you can have a creative writing class. Creative writing, you could be an English tutor, you can teach journalism. So the reason why I wanted to really focus still on the virtual is because COVID is on the rise again. And if you're not thinking of virtual components that can go along with your organization, you're hurting yourself. Now you can have the main things, just like here. I'm still going to have kids come up here and that can be exposed to chickens and you know, I'm amazed that even there are some kids here locally that have chickens at home, but because their chickens are locked up, they don't get to be around the chickens like when they come here and we have our chickens and cats and dogs and they all interact and they're free range as far as our chickens. So we just had some couple of youth that was here that came up last week, and they were asking, why can't our chickens run free like this? Because they were enjoying being and interacting and messing with our birds. And so what I'm saying is we still are going to have our live programs, but just like this Saturday, and hopefully if you guys have any young people, you can have them on. We have Lily Ice, who is a horse trainer, and she's a horseshoer, which is called a farrier. She's going to be on our youth virtual animal and vet program this Saturday at 10 a.m. And she's going to be literally riding live in the arena, but she's going to have her mic on and her camera, and the kids are going to be able to experience that. Because our goal after we have our cabins done here are to start bringing youth here, and we're going to involve them for a horse program, a horse camp, and they will be able to experience horseback riding here, and we'll take them to the arena. So again, we're combining our virtual and live programming, and that's the way that I want you guys to be thinking. So again, this program can even be collaborating with someone in Ebola and having stories of love and loss and reconnection, and collaborating locally, nationally, and internationally. Okay. And there are journalism grants. So I'm showing you that. Even if you collect rocks, there's grants for you. Okay. Matter of fact, if any of you have been here, we have a lot of rocks laying down like outside of our barn and that kind of thing. And every time when young kids come, like one of the kids a few weeks ago was leaving with his pockets were bulging with rocks because there's all kinds of colors, and our rocks look like this because we have river rock that's down outside the barn. But if you're talking to kids about rocks, like look how this baby is separating these rocks in the different colors and that kind of thing. Do you know that if you have a rock program, you can take young people to rock formations all over the world? There are airlines that donate tickets for youth programs. So you can teach and tour with the famous rocks of the world, like the statues that are at Easter Island. You could be taking them to the Grand Canyon and the Grand Canyon National Park. Okay. So again, I'm wanting to expand your vision on what you can do with your vast programs. Even United, it says at United, we believe in connecting people, inspiring creativity, and engaging local communities to make a difference. United, Southwest, Virgin Air. I mean, I don't know of an airline that do not donate tickets for programs. Did all of you know that? You know I'm gonna be asking questions because I like interaction. Hello. Did you guys know that? So they say our sponsorships are primarily made in one of three ways: in-kind donations, airline transportation certificates, volunteerism, and cash support on a limited basis. Okay. The AEG Foundation and the funds that they give, they advance science, scholarship, education in environmental and engineering geology for the benefit of all. So I'm just showing you some of the ways that a rock program can be funded. And again, many of us go to church and we don't see how church programs, church ministries can be turned into a program. Okay? Whether it's even if it's singing and involving people, involving those in your local communities that wouldn't even consider going to church, but you could have a community choir. Okay? If you love singing. If you love carpentry, you can have a program. I think I talked about it at the community center where you can be going and you can have a carpentry program and working on the homes of local low-income individuals and seniors. You can have a bookkeeping program, even doing that virtually. Now, the carpentry program, you could start your carpentry program teaching about the different aspects of carpentry, but if you're going to do it locally, that's where you advance and start taking your trainees that are local and start doing that with local homes. Your nonprofit can have a barbering program. That's why, how many of you have seen where barbers are giving free haircuts like right at the start of school, right before school starts, or beauticians are doing the hair of young women? Well, a lot of them don't realize they can have a nonprofit and they can do that ongoing. They could even have weekly individuals coming to their barbers and beauty shops, and grants are covering the cost that they would have to pay to get their hair done. Anyone have any questions on how that can work? Is there anyone on that you're a barber or beautician? Maybe not. If you love sewing,
so
go ahead.
in my program that I'm hoping to get done for the ladies, that's something that I would consider having some beauticians to help get them together, you know, once they get out, because they've been locked up, to get their hair shampooed, get their nails done, and get them nice and give them some type of self-esteem, confidence in order to go on and go to school or go to work and help them live their best life and not go back to jail.
Great. And so, Michelle, make note for us to talk about that later further. So if you're wanting that to be a part of your program, I can show you how to more effectively do it. Okay. Because for instance, you could go after grants. Let's say that in your budget with your program, you want to be able to also, at least at a minimum, have 10 women's hair done a month with collaborating beauticians. Mm-hmm. So then in your grant, let's say that on an average, it might be $40 per person, just to even get a wash and blow dry or something, between $40 and $60. So on your grant, if you do 10 times, let's say 60, what is that?
600.
Mm-hmm. So you would want to make sure that you have 600 a month across over the 12 months in your budget just for beauty, beautification. So then in your project, you're writing that you want to be able to fund a minimum of 10 women a month to get their hair done. What does that do? That not only helps with self-esteem, but it's job readiness, because it's preparing them to look better for when they go to work. It's helping them financially so that that's not an expense that they have on their low income budget. Mm-hmm. And so that is a fundable part of a project. Same thing for barbering. You know, if you have a job training program and you know that those young men are going to need to be getting haircuts, then that can be a part of a budget that you have to be able to pay the local barbers and beauticians, so that now, let's say that you're working with one barber or two beauticians, then your student or your participant will go to them with a voucher from you, but you've already sent the funds. It could be through Cash App, it could be through just a PayPal or whatever. You've sent it in advance to that barber beautician. So now the individual that's part of your program is walking in with the voucher from your program. What is that also helping with? That's helping with local small business sustainability. See, grant funders and the IRS would see all of that. There's opportunities for for-profit, nonprofit collaboration in any industry. Okay? Anyone getting any ideas, thoughts, etc.? You guys are good?
Yes.
Now, even if you sew, do you know that you can have a sewing program? Let's say that you want to go into senior facilities, giving them something to do. So now let's say that you want to take 20 machines into 2 senior facilities a month. Grants will cover the cost of your machines, your portable machines that you want to carry in. They could even stay there instead of you carrying them back and forth. You can have a sewing program. It may even be sewing blankets for infants that are newborns at the hospital. Or you might be sewing blankets to send to cancer patients, individuals that may be getting chemo treatment. I've heard people that have gone through chemo and a lot of time it's cold in that room or whatever, or those that are on dialysis. So you're constantly sewing something for individuals, but it is an arts and crafts program that you're doing with seniors. Or a lot of home economics classes have been cut out of school programs that now you've got a home ec class teaching young girls and boys how to sew. What else does that turn into? That can be a fashion design program. That could be collaborating with a local job training program for individuals that are getting donated clothes, but now the clothes don't fit those individuals. So now that job training program is literally coming to your program and they're being fitted in whatever suit or dresses they have. Now they're getting professional tailoring. Do you know how good someone would feel to know that they have a professionally tailored suit to fit them? I guarantee you they're going to tell somebody when they go home. So how does that impact their psyche? Hello?
Well, it'll make them feel important and top of the class, and they don't have to worry about what they look like.
Right. So then, Maureen, if they're, go ahead, Dan.
So yeah, whenever you have your clothes are fitting properly versus ill-fitting, it builds your confidence and your self-esteem.
Yes. So then this program, which is a sewing program, which is probably a home ec class or whatever, is also the outcomes, because that's what, see, I'm teaching you not only nonprofit, but I'm teaching what grant funders will be looking for and what you're saying in your documents, even to the IRS. So you may be writing that you have a sewing program, teaching young people how to sew, taking them into career, hopefully taking them into careers for fashion design, etc. But by collaborating with the local ABC job training program, we also are able to go after funding for self-esteem, leadership skills, job training, because that program through collaboration is coming to us, and each individual is getting a personally tailored, their suits are being personally tailored to fit them, which is helping them feel better about themselves. So look at the outcomes that this program is producing, and you probably just see it as a sewing program. So what I'm doing by going through all these scenarios, you guys, I want you to be able to think broader about your programs and services. Who are you reaching? What are going to be the outcomes? What are the positive outcomes? What are all of the things that you can be going after funding for because of what you're doing within your program? The same thing with a photography program. You might love photography and haven't thought about how broad it can be and how far it can go. Do you know that you could be see, even though all of us have cameras in our hand on our phone, many people don't have an eye for photography. But there are individuals that do, and there's still magazines and newspapers, and even, there's all kinds of businesses and industries that still need great photography. From someone that can really shoot a beautiful room that goes into an interior design book, to someone that is shooting models that the pictures are going to be going into magazines like Vogue, to someone else that shoots around their local areas as far as their cities and states, and those pictures are going into tourism magazines. Someone is shooting those beautiful shots. So if you are someone that has a passion for photography, you can have a wonderful photography program. And working with youth, for instance, and having them shoot what's going on in their communities. Maybe you're working within a low-income community and you're wanting to help young people to advance in photography, but they're also shooting what's going on in their community and telling the story. So now not only are they learning photography, but they're learning photojournalism and writing about what's going on within those pictures that they shot. Okay? If you love biking, and I'm talking about motorcycles, there's grants for you, and you can have a motorcycle program. I was even working with a motorcycle group in LA, and they were hardcore former gang members that now have turned their togetherness as brothers and sisters, and they now bike. But there are some that have been shot before that want to ride, that can't ride. They didn't even know that they could actually get that side-by-side thing that attaches to a motorcycle. So now they can ride disabled individuals and take them on those long rides as they ride up the coast. Or again, if you love dance, there's all kinds of funding for teaching dance, like I talked about my sister with Praise Dance. Even fishing. Now here you got me with my brother and we were fishing, but I've taught all kinds of organizations how to have a local fishing program. Do you know that it would even buy your bass boat or whatever kind of fishing you do and the equipment? Any of you fish?
No,
Yes.
I don't.
I was
We
going to
do.
say none of you fish? Okay. Well, see, you could have a fishing program. Do you know that you could even be taking, whether it's young people or seniors or whatever, to fishing competitions all over the nation? Okay.
Fun.
Anyone skate?
No.
I love skating. And Ray and I recently went skating at the rink there in Little Rock. But you could have a skating program. Now, Sam, you, Greg, or Karen have probably seen the old skating rink there in Marlton, right?
Yes.
You guys have
Yes.
probably skated there if you used to skate.
Oh,
I
yeah.
used to DJ. I used to DJ at skating rink back in the day.
Do you know, you guys, that we can collaborate? Let's reopen that skating rink and it can totally be a nonprofit.
Oh, wow.
What is skating? What does it do? What are you doing when you're skating?
I mean, it's a form of exercise, but it's also a lot of personal enjoyment.
Absolutely. But the first thing is you're exercising, which is helping what's going on, especially in low-income communities or minority communities. Obesity. A lot of young kids have what they used to call the old people disease. They have diabetes, heart disease, cancer. Even in the winters here, during the day, seniors there could be lines on there just like it's a track, the same way we had at one of the skating rinks in Kansas City, and they could be walking the tracks in their tennis shoes in warmer weather. You guys, open your eyes to what is around us. I developed one of the largest chess programs in Southern California with low-income kids in a high Hispanic area that they said it wouldn't work. The chess program grew to be so large, we had over 120 on the waiting list. And why do we have them on a waiting list? Because of the capacity of where we had the program, you can only have so many kids. Okay? Any questions, comments? Have I
None.
opened your eyes up to new possibilities?
Yes. And I guess one of the questions I have, given that Conway County and Cleveland are so population-wise sparsely populated, how big of an impact would that have in terms of getting funding? I mean, so you talked on the grant writing a couple of weeks ago about the return on an impact. So would that have an impact on philanthropic organizations if they say, well, you're only helping a couple of dozen or a few hundred? Well, a few hundred is probably a nice enough impact, but if you have a couple of dozen families that you're impacting, what would that be?
Well, see, the money that you're asking for fits the number of people that you're serving. So, like if you're serving 10 people, you probably wouldn't be asking for 3 million, and it depending on what you're doing. So, Dan, when you're going after your dollars, you're basing it off of how many people you have. What is your program strategy design? What kind of equipment are you needing? So let's say that you're going to have an agriculture program, and you're starting it virtually. And so first, you're going to be going after your salary and maybe the training materials, whatever that cost may be, and maybe an assistant. And so let's say that you're going, and most grant funding, you guys, is based off of a 12-month period. There's always a time frame, and it's usually 12 months. So you're designing your programs over that 12-month period. It's going to be ongoing, but a lot of funders only fund at a year at a time, or maybe a 3-year cycle or whatever. So if you're planning it as a 12-month cycle, then let's say that you, like me, I'm talking about our programs. There's only so many local youth I'll have, but we also have a virtual program. So then I'm planning on next summer, I'm working with our local youth, and they're having activities, and maybe it's 20 of them, but our virtual program has 120. But we're working toward next summer, this same time of year, we will be able to gift 60 of those kids coming here for a summer camp. So it depends again. So then in my budget, I would have 60 airline tickets that I'm going to have. I would have, maybe I'm wanting to expand my cabins, and we've only paid for 3 cabins. So I want to make sure we have more cabins. So in the grant, I'm going to get 3 more cabins. So again, I'm building out my budget. So maybe the budget for my program ends up being $250,000. So it's not the number always, Dan, it's the outcomes of what you're going to do with them. I'm impacting the local 20 youth, and then also virtually I'm impacting 120. So it just depends on your program design. But believe me, it's not always that you have to have 120 in your program. It's what you're doing and the impact you're going to have with the number you're working with. I hope that helped.
Yeah, that's very, very beneficial. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so what I'm doing here, this is a template that I'm going to send you guys on filling in for the Form 1023. So your name, your organization name would go here. And this goes along with that exempt application that we're going to be filling in. But I want to start working on your narrative. So at the very beginning, the IRS has you there's a penalties, a clause, and it says, under penalties of perjury, I declare that I have examined this information, whatever you're going to be having in this document, including accompanying documents, and to the best of my knowledge and belief, the information contains all the relevant facts relating to the request for the information, and such facts are true, correct, and complete. Now, what you're saying is the way that you're designing your program, which are projected programs, if they're not already operating, that you are telling the IRS that these are what you're planning to do. You're not falsifying, or you're not giving them some information and really you're planning on doing something else. Okay? That's what you're saying in this statement. That doesn't mean that you can't grow into other programs and services that aren't listed here. The best example of that is the YMCA, which everyone have heard of. The YMCA is one of the longest living nonprofits in the nation, if not the world. Well, their programs have totally changed from what they first got their tax exemption. Because do anyone know what YMCA stands for?
Why, Young Men's Christian Association?
Absolutely. So do they only serve young men and Christians now?
No.
No, they serve women, babies. They have infant child care program. They have after school tutoring with young boys and girls. So they expanded their programs into things that they had no idea they would even do at the time they were established. But their mission hasn't changed. See, the YMCA's initial mission was, we build strong mind, body, and spirit. That was their initial mission. So whether it's a youth basketball program or an after-school tutoring program or a senior square dancing class, are they still building strong mind, body, and spirit? Absolutely. So your mission is normally broad, but then each program will have its own, what they call case statement, CASE. Your youth basketball case statement is, which is the mission of that program, is going to be totally different than a child care case statement, okay? So we're going to be building your overall organization. You'll have a mission statement of what your organization is wanting to do, a vague kind of statement, but then each program will have its own strategy and case statement. Now, I'm not saying to you that as you develop your nonprofit, you've got to have 9 different programs. You do not. You can develop your nonprofit just with one program if you want. But I was showing you all the different things that, you know, that I showed you, so that I'm expanding probably your thinking for you to know that you can have multiple programs under one nonprofit. And if you want to develop several programs under the nonprofit as you're working in this program, fine. I just want to help you to do it effectively over this next 6 weeks. Okay. So what we're going to do, I wanted to show you something else. This one, I want to take this out of here. One sec, I'm correcting something here. Okay. Now, any questions, you guys, so far?
And I guess I have a quick question while it's popping in my mind. I know the community has a EIN or a nonprofit number. Does that mean they've already filed all this paperwork, or is this something that still needs to be done or amended?
No, no. Anyone can get a 50 an EIN number. Because I'm going to take you through getting, for those of you that don't have it, I'm going to take you through getting an EIN number. We can go to the IRS's website right now and get an EIN number for anything, anyone in 5 minutes. And let's say that I just decide I want to start a new business today. Even without having a corporation, filing any paperwork or anything, I can go and get an EIN number in that business name right now without having any other documentation.
Okay, I got you.
But I always tell people, don't get your EIN number until you get your articles or whatever, because if you get an EIN number and now you want to go get articles of incorporation, but the Secretary of State doesn't approve that name, now you got to go through the trouble with the federal and change the name on that EIN number. And that can take a long time. So though you guys have an EIN number, you might, I'm not sure how we'll have to look and see if that name is available with the state, because you have to develop a corporation, and it's a nonprofit corporation, and we'll use the language that's required for the IRS, but you've got to have a state incorporated organization that goes along with the IRS exempt documents. And then that's when I go and get the EIN number. So you guys already have an EIN number, but we'll have to check a few things to see, can you use that one? Okay. And then if not, then we will remove that EIN number from the file, get it, take it out, let them know that you're not going to use that one, establish a new EIN number with the name that is approved. So we would just have to check things out for the community center to make sure that we can use that.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Hey,
Now,
hey, Sharita.
I know Sam, go ahead.
Go ahead, Karen.
That wasn't me.
Sorry.
No,
Hey,
I was going to say, I know that Sam had a question about the EIN. Did that answer it, Sam?
I think it did. Just to clarify, so the verification I got from that is that the EIN I had, they did match it with the Center Community Foundation.
Yes, but do we know if the Center Community Foundation has been incorporated? Do you have articles of Inc? No,
so I don't. So now they are sending me, well, I'm not sure what else she's going to send me. She said she's going to send me a letter with all of my information on it. So I don't know, would it be on there or do I need to apply somewhere else? No, see, that's one office that has nothing to do with the other. That's the federal, where you get your EIN number. It's just like if
if I change my social security number now that now that I'm married, I go to the social security office and have to put Sharita Herring Oglesby on my social security. The state won't do it.
Gotcha.
So even though I got married and I have a marriage license, nothing would have happened at my social security office until I went and did that. So
Gotcha.
see, your state and federal don't communicate with each other. You have to do it. So we would need to check. And that's why I said, Sam, we need to check with the state to see, is that organization incorporated? Now, if nobody has done anything in the past few years, even though it could have been incorporated, you're probably suspended. You're probably a suspended corporation. So that's why I said we will be checking on those things while you guys are in the class. And that's why everyone will also get one-on-ones so that we can be checking things out that we need to do individually with you guys that we don't need to do in the group session.
Got it. Makes sense. Thanks.
Okay. And
Yep.
so, Sam, I also saw that you had sent me an email with some questions or some ideas as far as programs. You guys will get all your questions answered as we're going through this session, and it'll be more thorough because I'm in the teaching mode and I can show you things because it triggers my thoughts. You know how when I was with you guys at the community center, I said, you guys, your questions are what helped me to think about things I need to tell you. Because I teach so many different people and so many different kinds of organizations, I can't think of everything. But if you guys ask me questions, it'll trigger, then my value of over 30 years of knowledge, my intellectual property in my head will start to jog, it'll start jogging my memory. But if you don't talk to me, then it's hard for me to think of everything, okay?
Yep.
So what we're going to do with this document is everything that you guys will need, I will attach in this document, because from your bylaws, see, I've already got the bylaws that I'm going to give you. I already have the conflict of interest policy that you need. And then based on your city or state, I will be helping you develop and file your articles of incorporation if it's needed. Now, for you, Lorene, what it's going to do is you and I are going to be going through the steps of what your lawyer did, so that now if you want to be a consultant in doing this, Lorene, you've got all the steps that will help you to now help other individuals become nonprofits. Okay?
Okay.
So this template that we're going to be working with over the next 6 weeks is what is going to develop what you guys are needing to become not only the nonprofit, but I'm designing it as far as what you're going to be saying here in part 4 with what you will also need to go after grants, okay? Because the way that I design your answers to the IRS, you will see, and I will show you guys some examples, they're asking a lot of the same questions that a grant funder asks. That's why the nonprofit arena and the grants arena overlap so much, because they're working in the same industry, and a lot of the questions are exact. Okay, so let's see. Let me open up this other document that I want to start going through. Now, the other thing, since so many of you are working on the same project as far as the community center, we can actually, now one of you can be doing the community center's nonprofit, but or all of you, because you're gathering the same knowledge, but I also want you to be thinking about your family foundations, what you guys can be doing outside of the community center, because still your individual nonprofits can still collaborate with the overall community center that you guys also have a vested interest, okay? So do any of you have land that you want to do some things with so that I can help you to write for that?
Yes.
Okay. And is it a small plot of land, like an acre, 2 acres, or do you have, multiple acres?
It's multiple. We have 80 acres that's not developed. We're putting cabins on them right now, just a place to go down and stay, when you want to, just more or less tiny homes. We've got 2 started. Just again, it was for the family, so we weren't overlapping in territories. And we have, 5 families that go down there, but I own it. So I got to thinking that this might be a good place for like a youth retreat. There's freshwater creek. We could do agricultural programs on there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
I
you
haven't
can.
had to think about that, Sharita, because I've been working on the nonprofit where we're helping the community, but I would really like to incorporate that at some point, because that my husband would love doing stuff like that.
Now and see, and that's perfect, because see, those are things that we're doing here, and this is why I wanted to find out if you guys were thinking of doing something like that, because now we're going to have from youth camps to artist retreats to executive retreats, and it's all going to fall under our nonprofit. But does that mean that and so if like I was saying, that if we're wanting to get 3 more cabins before next year, now the grants that I'm going after for my youth animal husbandry program, vet program, I'm going to be including the cost of those cabins in that grant. Okay, but what else may need to happen? I might need to do some clearing of the trees. So whatever the cost of the individuals to come in to do that, I'm going to include that. Now, so that's why I'm asking, what are you guys wanting to do, so that if that's part of what you're wanting to write about during this session, let me help you to do that. Okay, so now I've jumped over to the PDF, and you guys just stop me if you end up having a question. Now see here, Form 1023 is filed electronically only on PayGov. So what I will be helping each of you to do at the end of this class is to file your application now through the portal of the IRS. But I'm still going to go through the form, because this form is in the portal. And so now later I'm going to go through the yes, no, but I want to show you why the template that I have does not start at number 1, part 1, number 1. We're jumping over, and what we're doing is this part 4. So I hope you guys can see this. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger.
Yes. Yeah. And Sharita, I have a quick, you asked about having land. I think it was mentioned at one of our meetings earlier this week that there is a person in the community that owns land that said the community could use it for like a community garden or something. So how would we incorporate, even though the foundation doesn't own the land, how would we incorporate that? We have to get a letter of cooperation or collaboration from that owner saying they're willing to allow us to use the land for those purposes.
They would become a collaborative, and all you would do, you've probably heard of an MOU, a memorandum of understanding. And so that's what you would just have. It's like an agreement between you and that landowner that maybe they're going to give you an acre of land to use for the community garden. And maybe they want to charge you for it. So whether they want to charge you or donate it. If they're donating it, then they're doing an in-kind donation to the organization. If they want to charge you, maybe they want to charge you $200 a month or something. I don't know what that would cost, but either way, it would go into your program design of who you're collaborating with and why. And maybe, you would talk about that your community garden not only is going to feed the community, but it's going to get local seniors out for them to do gardening again. So now it's a senior program, and they're doing the gardening in the morning, because gardening does take work. And then, so seniors most of the time like to be up in the morning. The afternoon session is going to be a youth horticulture program, and it's going to be manned by the youth. And so now you've got a senior program, a gardening program, and a youth program out of this community garden. But also it's a nutrition program, because you're growing fruits and vegetables for local low-income individuals. So see how this program is expanding out?
Yes. That's great.
Now, where you're talking about all of that is here in part 4. So in this IRS application, it says using an attachment, describe your past, present, and planned activities in a narrative. So Sam, this is why I said you would be talking about your current experience, but also your past experience of what you're doing there as a manager. Because what the reader will be getting out of it, again, is not only your program design, but your ability to be able to manage and create the kinds of programs that you're establishing. So Karen, whether you're talking about you being an RN and what you've been doing as a nurse, you're also talking about how you're bringing that management experience, that nurse experience, those people skills over, thank you, into your nonprofit, okay?
Okay.
So the reason, again, when we jump over here, back over to the template, you notice this says part 4. When I come over to the template, I go straight from you talking about this declaration to part 4, because part 1, part 2, and part 3 are all the yes, no in the application. Okay, so that's why as we go through the application, it won't be in numerical, your numbers will be missing, because that's in the application. You're just saying yes, no there. We're only putting over on this template the things that need to be explained in narrative form. Okay, so I just wanted you to be clear on that, so that when I'm sending this template to you today, and what you're going to do this week is here in part 4, I'm going to copy what this says over in this narrative. Oops, wrong one. Copy. You're going to do this. Using an attachment, which is here, describe your past, present, and planned activities. So I've given you 3 areas that I want you to look at. I want you to type in your program strategy here. So this will be, you know, maybe if it's, let's see, A. Then B, I want you to talk about yourself. And this might be, this program strategy might end up being 2-3 pages. And I'm just saying maybe. When you're talking about yourself, it's usually 1 to 1.5 pages. And then this, why are your programs needed? So now I only want you to focus on A. I'm going to turn these black. This week, I only want you to focus on your program strategy. What programs are you planning on doing? And then give me a description of what you're planning on doing with them. Okay? Any questions, comments?
None.
Hey, Sharita, real quick, what was the name of that form or that you was calling that attachment for the land? I'm just kind of curious. What was that acronym you used? Did you say MOU or MAU?
Memorandum of Understanding.
A memorandum of understanding.
So it's an MOU. Okay, I got you.
And I have a sample of that. Okay.
Okay, got it.
So I'm gonna say here, provide, so it'll remind myself. Class?
Got you.
Anything else? Now, some people also call it, there's a MOU, excuse me, or also they call it a letter of intent, an LOI. But most of the time, at least the grant funders that I've seen here recently, they call it an MOU. Any other questions? What about your programs? Anything that you're thinking about? Have any questions or? Really? Then you guys, we're actually done. 30 minutes early.
Well, Rita, Sharita, I do have one question. Actually, in reading your statement that you have posted there on the screen, you said, it says there that it says, remember, if this application is approved, it will be open for public inspection. Who would be doing that public inspection?
You know what? I've been doing this since 1988. I've never had anyone that have said that someone has gone and looked at their documents. But it's there like that. Let's say that you actually get in trouble for embezzling money from your nonprofit. They don't have to go through any legal documents to bring out what you've been doing and go pull the records of what you've been doing with your nonprofit. Now, can they go and go into your the nonprofit's bank account and all of that? That's where they would need legal documents. But what they can do is go pull from the IRS, request that information on what you said you were going to do with your nonprofit. So this document that we're preparing right now is what they're talking about.
How detailed do we need in terms of doing our program strategy? So if we're talking about doing, say, a community garden, we've talked briefly about doing a senior program and a youth program. Do we want to say potentially, or do we say we have to do this, or this? So this is just our plans. It's not something we're have organized just yet. So if someone does come in and look at it 4 or 5 years down the road, can they say, oh, you said you were going to do this and you didn't do it? Or could that still be in the planning process?
I have actually done a nonprofit where the program page was no more than a page and a half, and they got the approval. I've also done a nonprofit where their whole package was 72 pages, and we got approved. Now, why was one so much bigger than the other? This one client whose document, that all they wanted to do was teach young people how to be nice. And the organization was actually called Courtesy Counts. And they were going to do etiquette classes and for youth. And so they talked about that they were just going to teach how to have manners at a table, because there's a lot of young people, you guys, that have never even sat at a table with a white tablecloth. So they don't know the salad fork, dinner fork, or whatever. And so she was just focused on holding classes to teach young people table etiquette, because they were at an age where they were going to start dating and start going to a family's house and they wanted them to feel comfortable no matter whose table they sat at. So it didn't take a whole lot, because that's all she wanted to do. Now later she came back because she realized her nonprofit could do more, but she had to pay me to be a consultant to help her design her other programs. All I'm saying to you guys is I'll help you design whatever program strategy and how little or more you want to say. The other one that was over 70 pages is because they had probably 13 different programs, and people have told them that they couldn't get that approved. It's all about how thorough you are so that the IRS is clear on what you say you want to do. Okay. Anyone else?
We have
You
homework.
sure?
We have homework.
So, and you're just doing a first draft to start talking about your programs. Just start even doing bullets. Some of you might do better at doing bullets. Some of you want to mention a square dance class. So under that square dance class, you're going to talk about you want to teach square dancing to, youth. Speaking of square dance, you guys, I love square dancing. I don't know if there's a class anywhere local, but even in grade school, when we did square dancing, man, I love square dancing. I'd love to have a square dancing program. So anyway, maybe you're going to have square dancing on Monday and Wednesday from 5 to 7 p.m. And that's what you want to do at the community center. And that class is going to be focused on who is your target population. Always talk about who are you serving? Who is your target group for that particular class? And for that class, you'll probably have one instructor, and the class will go for 6 weeks, people learn how to square dance, and after that 6 weeks, you'll have another square dancing class. You know, that's what you're doing. You're talking about your programs and your strategies. Maybe you want a youth basketball program, and it's going to be every Saturday in the mornings from 9 to 12. And you're going to do that in collaboration with the local school that has a gym, maybe Wonderview. But your goal is to have a gym, an actual gym at the community center. So, but you've got to have a program design, a strategy, a plan for the funding that you want to go after to do that. So we're designing your programs now. Anyone else?
Yes, I want to make sure I understand this correctly, and we may get into this a little later. So the strategy that I'm writing, and then I thought I heard you say something about so the IRS would understand what you're trying to do. Did I hear something like that?
You guys, I guess y'all say she just tearing that food up. Go ahead, Sam.
Okay, and I guess what I was getting at is, so the grant that when we write the grants, it's going to the, I guess it sounds like I'm applying for a grant through say for instance, if some organization had this big grant out there and I'm applying it to them, but did I hear you say that it has to be, even though they're going to say, hey, I want to support that great grant of fund that project, did I hear you say something like it had to go through the IRS as well for approval, or that person? I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
Right, and I guess I have a similar question, or maybe a follow-up additional. So we're writing this to get the nonprofit authorization, and then we might have to develop a totally different proposal to get the grant.
The way that I'm helping you to answer the questions for the IRS, I'm designing it so that you can use this same document of your program strategy after you get your tax exemption, to use this same document to now to start using the language and the program strategy to go after grants later.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying the more thorough you can be on your program strategies, you not only are preventing the IRS from being confused on what you want to do and getting that rejection, like I was talking about. See, the reason why I've been able to get nonprofits approved, when I do the paperwork, I've gotten through the IRS a nonprofit approved in as quickly as 12 business days. That's unheard of. I don't even know a law firm that has done that. That's why I train law firms. So I'm taking you guys through how to do project. In this class, you're learning project design and strategy so that you can make sure your programs are clear. Whoever reads them know who you're serving, how often is this program going to happen, what are your expected outcomes, how is this going to impact community or the individuals. I'm teaching you to do that so that whoever reads your document, whether it's an IRS rep or a grant funder or someone that you want to collaborate with, any and everyone will not have questions when you finish.
Okay.
And that's why I'm helping you to design your documents in that way. So that, no, this isn't a grant writing class, but I'm giving you part of a grant writing training, because the more that you write for a funder, the clearer the IRS will be too. And vice versa. The clearer you write for the IRS, you've already got written what a grant funder is going to need.
Okay. So Dan, I hope you got that, but I'm just making sure. So the grant that I submit, it's got to get approval through the person that holds the grant, just want to call it the guarantee or whatever, and also it got to get improved. It's got to get approved through the IRS. Is that correct?
The document we're doing right now, I don't know if there's a confusion. We are only working on the tax exempt application for the IRS. That's what we're working on.
Right.
Gotcha.
That's all we're working on.
Right. So,
but the reason why, what I'm saying to you is, while we're answering these questions to the IRS, I'm providing even more detail, because I know that grant funders want a little bit more detail. Plus, with that detail, that's how I've been able to get the IRS approvals so good, because they're so detailed that the IRS rep doesn't have any question wondering why they should approve you as a nonprofit.
Right. And so you're working it so we can use it for both, but so once the IRS approves it, the granting agency doesn't have to go, that proposal doesn't go back to the IRS. Once we get our 501(c) or C3, we start going out to grants. We're utilizing a lot of the same information we have in our nonprofit application. We're just using it to get funds from different philanthropic or governmental agencies.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, got it. That makes sense. Yep.
Once you got your letter from the IRS, you won't be submitting anything else to them. Not even when it's time to file for taxes or anything. Your taxes go to a whole different office. Right now,
Gotcha.
we're preparing this document for the tax exempt office of the IRS. Once you got your approval, you guys, you won't have to send them this department, you won't have to send them nothing else ever again in life. Unless you let your tax exemption get suspended because you haven't filed your taxes every year. Then you have to resubmit to this office again. But if you keep everything current, you never have to submit to this office again. Once we've done this, you never have to pay the $600 fee that they require. Now, some people say, well, Sharita, why don't we do the EZ form? The EZ form is an easier form, and it is a lesser fee, excuse me. But you guys, when you do that EZ form, there are so many, there are so many stipulations that you cannot do. One of them is you cannot make over 50,000 in the first 4 years of operation. You can't. You're not supposed to. Well, I've heard people say, well, Sharita, even if we're writing that we can't, but we know that we're going to get this grant next year. They don't know that. So you want me to already teach you how to lie to the IRS. That's why I say, go on and just do the longer form that I'm showing you how to do right now. The form 1023 is not the EZ. The EZ form, I think, is $250. Go on and pay the $600 and not have the limitations that the EZ form has. And not try and falsify information because you're trying to meet the guidelines of the EZ form to save you a few $100s, but now you're falsifying information. No, do the actual 1023 and get your exemption and be able to do what you would like to do in operations of your nonprofit. Okay. There's something in chat. Is that for me or have you guys already? I would like to talk about starting my economic development consulting nonprofit. Okay. We can do that on your one-on-one, unless you've got some questions that you want to ask right now.
Good.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Well, if not, you guys, and you know what the first assignment is for this week, if you don't have any other questions, we're actually done for the day.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I look forward to the rest of the class.
Well, thank you. Thank you, you guys. I'm looking forward to it too. And
Thanks, Rita.
try and send, if you want me to review your draft, you're getting more out of me and you'll be better prepared for your one-on-one that you will get with me. If you can weekly send me what you're doing so that I can edit and give you suggestions as you're working. Okay. Now, I'm not saying it's a requirement. You know, I won't give you a bad grade, but you will get more out of this class and more from me if I can edit your documents as we go. Okay. And if you want me to edit, try and send it to me at least 24 hours before the next class so I can see that you're on point as we're moving forward. If not, I just keep moving, but I don't know if you're on point to really get the best out of the class and complete everything by the end of the 6 weeks. Okay. But it's totally up to you if you send it to me or not. I just
Sharita,
suggest that you, yes.
You told me that if I had not heard from you to remind you that to look over my paperwork from the last one before our one-on-one.
Uh-huh.
So I'm reminding
I
you.
would do that.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And now we're scheduled. Have you already scheduled yourself?
You told me not to until I heard back from you on that, on my paperwork.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, you wanted it done within 2 weeks but you needed to
Oh,
look
with
over.
you and Leland. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Alrighty, dear. I will do that and get back to you.
Okay.
And do we have a
Alright.
one-on-one each week, or how does that work?
You only get 2 in the class.
Okay.
You will get one after the third session, and then you get one after we're done with the final session.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Well, all righty. Well, you guys, thank you again for being on. And I look forward to each week being with you. And have a great rest of the week.
You too.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Sharita.
Thank you, Sharita.
All righty. Talk to you soon.
All right,
Okay.
bye. All right.